Are there any foods we should avoid? And absolutely. Number one, as I talked about in some of these previous slides, is we want to avoid foods high in saturated fat. It's particularly fat, just fat in general, especially saturated fat and certain other trans fats, because they're just going to take a long time to digest and absorb, and that's going to increase your chances of feeling sluggish. So those things that taste so good, fried foods like fried fish and chicken, French fries, these are all things that are big no-nos right before a game. Even the night before, I would avoid these things the night before as well. High-fat meats, as you can see here, like regular ground beef. Like if you go to a restaurant, they're not using 96% lean ground beef. They're using regular ground beef. Chicken fried steaks that are typically covered in cream sauce or big fatty cuts of meat like ribeyes. As I talked about, meals with heavy cream sauces and cheese sauces, we want to try to avoid. This will sit in the gut for a long period of time. And then, of course, we want to avoid foods high in fiber. We'll talk about what that does, or what those are, but those typically increase gas and bloating and may cause some stomach discomfort. So those gas-forming vegetables are things like broccoli, cauliflower, onions, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. These are extremely nutritious foods that are very good for us to consume because of the nutrient value. But prior to a game, these would be foods we want to try to limit and avoid. Also, high fiber foods, beans, lentils, high fiber cereal, just to name a few. These are things we want to try to avoid. So you don't want a big old high fiber all bran cereal for breakfast in the morning because you might fly to the moon later that day. So we just want to kind of keep that. But that could cause some stomach discomfort, some stomach pain. If you've had it and you're fine, then great. But again, for most people, these are things that we want to try to recommend as general guidelines to avoid.